Hey everyone, today we are going to be doing a step-by-step tutorial. This is going to be part of my new series where I'm just doing full haircut breakdowns of haircuts that I think will be very, very helpful to you all. So there's going to be really no editing. It's all straight through. This is going to be great for, professionals, and I'm going to really convey this information as if I was talking to professionals. But also, I know that a lot of general consumers or clients or people that want to cut hair at home for their family or friends watch my videos as well. I think sometimes even more of you than actual professionals. So I'm going to also make sure that you understand what I'm talking about so that really anyone can follow along. And what we're doing today is going to be a men's haircut, which I know a lot of stylists, right, dread, especially people who aren't used to cutting men's hair, haven't learned a lot about men's hair. I also already have a video on a medium length layered haircut in this playlist. Okay, so you can watch that. It's literally like an hour long, and that's kind of what we're doing today as well. So if you aren't familiar with using clippers, doing men's haircuts with clippers and scissors and going shorter, then this is going to be a great step-by-step video for you. What are you going to need? All right, now let's break down the tools that you're going to need, which I have in front of me here. A spray bottle. This is actually a mister, which means when you pull the trigger, I know you can't see it, but it mists out beautifully, a beautiful mist, and it just covers a lot of ground. So this is a mister. A regular water bottle is fine, all right? Next thing you're going to need is a hair cutting comb. I sell my own hair cutting combs on my website, shop.TheSalonGuy.com. They come in this color, which is like a white and a red. And I use these hair cutting combs. I had these made specifically, okay, because I'm using these. And you'll notice in the very, very front here, you may not see it here, you can see it, but there's a little bit of a gap. No, it's not broken. It's just easier for when you're sectioning the hair. It gives you a much cleaner section so you can see it a little bit better. So a hair cutting comb and a pair of shears. These are my shears. These were handcrafted. You'll see my logo on it right here for me. They're 7-inch shears. I've always liked this length of shear because I feel like you can cover a lot of ground with it, all right? Meaning like you can cover a lot of ground as far as the amount of hair you can cut and the section of hair you can cut. And I just feel they're a great shear, okay? So they're fairly affordable. They're available again at shop.TheSalonGuy.com. And next we're going to need a pair of clippers. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky. So I am using, this is the wall clipper. This is the 100-year anniversary clipper. All right, this is a really, really heavy duty clipper. I always suggest the wall 5-star, the magic clips. Okay, the magic clips are what a lot of barbers use, but I happen to have the wall 100 anniversary clippers. They're just a little bit heavier and the motor's a little more powerful. They are on the pricier side, but also you can use the wall, the magic clips. I start off with those. A lot of barbers use those, so the magic clips. And then next, what you're going to need is clips, all right? Or these are the ones that I use, and these are available on Amazon, okay? I do have an affiliate link down below in the description where all my hair tools are that you can, purchase them. But these are the wall, all right? Attachments. You need attachments. You need these things in order to cut hair. And this comes in one unit where it has all of them from a number 1 all the way to a number 8. And this is metal. So just make sure that you're getting the ones that say wall and you're not getting, secondhand or, fake ones. That's what I use. All right. So next is a towel. Obviously, if you're going to be cutting someone, I always like to have a backup towel to wipe my hands, to clean off the client's face. Always, always, always have a backup towel. Now, let's get started with the hair cutting and stuff. So when it comes to these types of haircuts, I always, always, always work on dry hair, okay? Now, if you want, you can wash the hair down, shampoo it, get it ready, and then when the client comes back, make sure that and I did this on this mannequin because it had so much darn product in it. So I made sure I shampooed it, and then I blow dried all of this in throughout the sides and the back, because with clippers, and I've seen a lot of people doing this, and I think it's the wrong way to go, they use clippers on soaking wet hair, and that's just the last thing you want to do. Always work on dry hair with clippers, especially if you're going on the shorter side, like a number 2, a number 1, even number 3. But regardless, keep this damp if you want, clip it out of the way, make sure all this is dry, just because the hair reacts so much better to dry hair when it comes to clippers. You can see everything much better. It's instant results. It cuts the hair quicker. You're not going to get any jamming up and wet hair stuck on the clipper. Make sure it's done on dry hair. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, here's another thing. I also have clips too. I mean, I have everything, ladies and gentlemen. I have everything. So I'm going to take hair clips and I'm just going to section off a bunch of hair like this so that you could see kind of the areas we're working on, all right? And I'm just gonna get this out of the way for now. Let's see, I have other clips right here, ready to go, so I can show you all. Clips come in very, very handy, and again, these are alligator clips. They are available on my website. Everything's available on my website, shop.thesalonguy.com, unless you're looking for like the clippers or things like that that are available on Amazon, and that's all in the description below. All right, so what I'm doing, and the only reason I'm doing this is to give you all a clear vision on sectioning the hair and getting all this hair out of the way. Now, this doesn't mean we're not doing an undercut, but what this is gonna help, and this is really gonna be great for you, is if you are dealing with longer hair on top and you just need to get that out of the way. Regardless, this is all going to be blended in anyway, all right? So even if the sectioning isn't perfect, as long as it's like in the same vicinity to get it out of the way, all right, then you're going to be good to go. Now, I'm going to start with the good old number 2 guard, okay? Number 2 guard is a very, very popular guard as far as length goes, all right? Number 2, and there we go, number 2 guard, as you can see right here. And I'm going to have the clipper blade all the way closed, okay? Now, when you flip this lever up this way, it makes it longer. So it goes from like a 2 to probably like a 2.5. So always have this down, or actually the lever is, you know, kind of up this way. So it's facing up, not away from you. So it's facing towards you, and you'll be able to tell. Just make sure this is all the way down to the bottom. It's not lifted up. That's really what it comes down to. That's going to give you an accurate cut of a true whatever guard you have on. So I like to start in the back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out the area of how high I want this to go. You never want to, you know, unless you're doing a very, very short, specific type of haircut. What we're doing today is kind of like a, you know, short, somewhat textured type of haircut on top. So we're going to go relatively short through here, but when you're using clippers, you never want to like take a number 1 and just shave all the way up to the top of the head, okay? You have to realize like wherever you're going to be doing the number 2 and how high you're going in through here, that has to come around and follow the head shape. Because when you get to about right here, then you have to start working into the sides. All right, so let's go. So I'm doing the number 2 guard, and if you notice, what I'm doing with my hand, I'm actually combing the hair into the clipper guard like this, all right? I see a lot of times people just going like this. Don't waste your time doing that. You want to get through this quick. You want to blast through it, and if you use the hair cutting comb to comb the hair into the clipper guard, it helps keep you really, really balanced, right? And it helps keep you nice and organized as far as where you are. And don't be freaked out by you're like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting a mushroom in someone's head. That's totally fine because we're eventually going to get rid of that. Just make sure that you're being very, very efficient and you're cutting what needs to be cut. And all you're doing is working up the head. Now, as you get more experience with this, you'll start to feel more comfortable with taking larger, you know, sections or larger amounts of hair that you're cutting off. But even myself at this level, I still am very, very careful because, you know, cutting the hair with clippers is a big deal, and you don't want to screw it up, and you don't want to cut any hair, right, that doesn't need to be cut. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to be working, and this is why a towel comes in handy, because you can just wipe the hair off, all right, your hands. You're going to get hair all over you. It's going to get stuck in your bracelets, your watch, whatever. So now we're done with this, at least for now. It's time to work into the sides. So same thing, I'm gonna lift and I'm gonna comb the hair into the clipper guard. And notice that I'm going back in, and now I'm going around the ear like this. Now what's gonna happen is you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, there's so much hair that needs to come off here. Then that's fine, that's what you do. You blend this to where it's evenly, kind of connected into the sides, like so. So as I'm cutting this, what I'm doing is I'm actually creating a shape going from this side, all right, the side of the head right into here, into the back. Now, obviously with mannequin heads, sometimes it's a little bit more troublesome. Hair likes to jump up all over the place, but now look what I'm doing. This is what's really most important, is you can see now I'm working the hair into the back. So what's happening is I'm making an even connection between the side and also the back of the head. And like I said, sometimes it's very frustrating because the hair only cuts certain parts on mannequins. That's why it's tough. But nonetheless, we've got our area right in through here, okay? But you see how we did that? I didn't just go way up here. I connected everything. Now what that means is I'm going to go into the back and I'm going to bring this up just like this. So now what we're doing is creating it may look like a bit of a mushroom, but as we continually blend this and work our way up, it's not going to look like that because we're going to gradually blend everything up. The key is that you want to follow the head shape, and you never ever want to go, too high to the point where it's like it's going to look ridiculous. All right, so now I'm doing the same thing on this side, and this is where the comb comes in really, really handy as far as like directing the hair, because as you can see here, I'm using the comb to keep the hair in place. And what that's helping me do, it's helping me so that I'm not, I'm able to get the hair that needs to come off. See, I'm just combing the hair down into the clippers, and it's making life so much easier. And then obviously you can work your way up this way, and then if you have to, you go around and under the ear, like so. And sometimes it's a lot of finessing, just simply a lot of finessing to where you get to the areas that you really like, and everything's looking nice and balanced and blended. And there we go. So what we've done is established our baseline between this side and this side. Obviously, just make sure that both sides are even. You want to be even Steven on this. And, it's not the worst case if one side's a little bit off, but for the most part, just try to make it as even as you possibly can. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my same guard, and now I'm going to push the lever in so that the number 2 guard is now a 2.5. And all I'm going to do is just simply go up 1 inch or so, or a ½ inch, and then I'm just going to lightly start to work out and blend this bottom area, okay? It may not look like much yet, but as you work up the head, you're going to start to see that all these little steps are really, really, really helpful, okay? So now what we're doing is we're continuing the blend from here all the way to the back of the head. Here again, it's the same clipper guard. I just raised the lever. So now we're doing like a 2.5, and we're just lightly going over this one area above where we cut, all right? And that is starting the transition. That is starting the blend of the haircut and the fading and the blending, all right? Now, you could always go back, and it's very, very common to sometimes see a little bit of a weight line, and you go back in and you fix it and you blend it out. That's totally, totally normal, okay? Now, there's obviously 8 million different ways to go about doing this. I'm sure that you'll get one guy or one person telling you do this, one guy telling you do that. One person saying start off with a higher guard and work your way down. There's 8 million things, and whatever works for that person and works for you, then fine. But I'm just showing you my method of what I do. I've been doing this for a very long time, and am I perfect? No. But you're here watching my stuff because you probably just like my bad jokes. My haircutting is awful, but my jokes save me. All right, There we go, done with number 2. Now we're going to get a number 3 guard. So basically, the lower the number, the shorter, and the higher the number, the longer the hair is going to be. Now I did push the lever back so it's towards me now. The bottom is facing towards me, not away from me. So that closes it, all right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand right in front here, and now we're going to do a number 3 guard. And now we're going to be taking off a good, probably inch or so as far as section goes, and we're going to continue to work our way up the head. All right, and now you're going to really start to see everything coming together where we're going from shorter to longer in the lengths. All right? So as you can see, I'm really making sure that what I'm doing with the clippers is really going to stay consistent throughout the back and the sides. And pushing the hair, right, is really an amazing, really good tip, because honestly, if you're just going like this, you're throwing the hair and pushing the hair in all different directions, and it's not going to lay the exact same. All right, that's why I always suggest doing that. Always make sure you're cutting with a comb. Make sure you're cutting on dry hair when it comes to clippers. And if the hair is wet on top, it's going to naturally work its way up, back on the head shape. Okay. So here we are. You're not, again, you're not going to see a whole bunch going on, but we are making progress, trust me. As we get higher and higher throughout the head, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's all coming together now. And you want to make sure that the your client, or whoever you're cutting is, you're not super high away from you. You want to make sure that you're you got a really good vision, right? And that you're pretty even with the area that you're cutting. Just because, for me, unfortunately, I'm not the tallest. I'm 6'9". However, no, I read 6'9", okay? I read 6'9", but I'm like 5'8", to be honest with you. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not too, too low, too high. I want to make sure I'm at a really good balance. Sometimes if you're cutting hair on the, a kitchen chair, you're not going to have the opportunity to raise and lower the chair, but just make sure that you're fairly level, or that your back can handle it, all right? Because it's not fun, to be honest with you. All right, so here we go. We've worked in the number, now I'm going to use the same guard, number 3, and now I'm going to make it like a 3.5. And I'm simply working up the head shape like so. And once we start to get to the round of the head, in through back here, you're going to really start to see this come together. Now you see when I go up this way, it's just pushing the hair out of the way. That's why when you use the comb like this and push the hair down into it, you're getting a much better result, all right, because of the fact that you're actually controlling the hair a bit more, all right? You're controlling the hair a bit more, and you're able to push the hair into it, whereas sometimes, especially if the hair is wet, the clipper blade and the guard is just going to push the hair away, and those longer hairs are going to fall right back down, okay? So let's just take a quick look here on this side. You can see that we're doing a nice transition, all right, into the top here. And again, this is, once you get the hang of this and you're used to doing what I'm doing now, see how I'm pushing the hair into the comb and then going back in this way, all of these techniques and things are very useful and come in very handy, trust me. And after you get used to doing this and working with clippers, your confidence level is going to shoot up a lot more. And you can see what I'm doing here is I'm being a little, kind of aggressive and being a little more not afraid of the hair. A lot of times I think people when they use clippers, they become afraid of the clipper. Oh my gosh, it's so short. I never cut hair that short before. Just don't be afraid of it, right? Don't be afraid of it, and let the clipper do all the work. You're the one controlling it. It's simply like driving a car and you're literally just, this is the car and you're driving it, and just don't crash. All right, so, and if we see any little pieces under here that look a little bit longer, then we can just go down with a number 1, right? And we can get rid of that at the end. And that's something that I always do last. Now I'm jumping to a number 4 guard. And what's going to happen is we're going to start to kind of run out of hair to where we then have to use our hands and start cutting, all right? Which I know a lot of you are probably going to be happy about, saying, oh, thank God I can put these darn clippers down. But, this is the most important part, is creating this blend. And you can see now what I'm doing is I'm working up towards the round of the head to where I'm like, okay, I know that all this hair is going to come down over it, and I need to blend it. But, I've done my part as far as getting up there, all right? And the only reason, again, this takes as long as you need it to take. But the more used to getting working with clippers that you become, you're not going to be as afraid to work with clippers. You're not going to be as afraid to cut men's hair, right? And as you can see now, I'm just working my way all the way towards the other side. And I'm, don't be afraid to hold the head. Don't be afraid to turn the head. Move the clipper in a variety of different directions. Again, we're being aggressive, all right? We're not letting the clipper scare us. As long as we're following the proper steps and we know that we're going to not, cut anything the wrong way, then we're going to be in good shape. Now, if you want, and if this is bugging you, since you used a number 2 guard, you can always go down to the guard below that, which would be a number 1. And then what you can do is you can start with the blade all the way closed and just go right in these, areas right around the ear, like this, and just get rid of that excess hair that is right around the ear. And then you can also lightly blend it to where you're, lifting the blade, or opening the blade and closing the blade, and just lightly tapering right into this area to kind of tame down these sideburns, okay? And you can see I'm just being, a little aggressive, nothing crazy, but I just tapered down that sideburn right there. Same thing on this side. Just be mindful that you don't want to go all the way up the head. You just want to stay close to the area that it needs it, all right, which is right into here. And sometimes, you will have areas like this where you have to go in and use the, no guard or the trimmer to get rid of it, okay? Or sometimes some areas may be a little bit thicker or heavier than others, so you have to work the clipper a little bit more, and that's totally okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just literally using the wrist and lightly fading and blending this in. And I'm just holding the clipper almost like parallel to the head, and I'm just lightly working my way up that way. And it's just going to create a nice, beautiful, soft taper. Now, we have all this hair to get rid of. So what you're going to do, take this out, and you're going to see all this hair come down over it, and don't freak out. So what you want to do is just comb the hair down like this, and then you say, okay, all of this needs to blend into the top. So what do I do? Well, here is where you can start by doing scissor over comb. So we are going to go fairly short on top, okay? We're going to go fairly short, so let's take the longest point underneath, and we're going to hold this out this way. And what that means is we're going to take this first section right into here, and we're going to cut this right to that point, right here. Okay? So now what we've done is we've blended in this first area right into here. Now we're going to go back and do the same thing throughout the back. And all we're doing now is literally just getting rid of all this hair into here so that it gives us a much more clear picture. Now you probably are going to end up seeing these sections from the clips. That's fine. You can just re-wet the hair if you need to. But what's important now is that we're making the transition, okay? We're making the transition, and what I'm doing is I'm literally using scissor over comb. I'm not using my hands to hold the hair out from the head yet or anything, and I'm just getting rid of all this excess hair in through here, as you can see, all right? So that gives me a much clearer vision on what needs to be cut. There, so now we're just simply working towards the top here, and we're going to do this on the other side as well. Remember, all of this that we've done before is pretty much all done. Now, if you do see certain areas that maybe need a little more blending, a little more loving care, then that's fine. You go in and you do some scissor over comb when it's fully dry, and I do that towards the end. I do that like as my finishing process, okay? It's never going to be perfect right off the bat, and that's why I do like going in and blending it. All right, so now, once again, let's look and see where the guide is, which is right there, and we're going to cut all this hair off like that. There's the guide. We're going to cut it all off. Okay? And now we're just simply working in towards the top here, and all this hair is going to come over, and we can bring the hair down, and there's our guide from before, and we're going to cut this all off. Okay? You always want to make sure that the front you're leaving maybe slightly longer, and you're just working this all in towards the front this way, leaving all this a bit longer. All right? And what happened, like I mentioned before, is at the top, it created a little bit of a section here, like an indent, because the clips. But all we got to do now is just wet this and get this out of the way, and it's going to be much easier for us to then work around that section. All right, see? It's gone. Now we can start working on wet hair because all the hair from the clippers is pretty much done. And this is the fun part, okay? This is where you really see all your hard work really coming together, okay? And this is where the haircut really starts to take shape. You may come across some knots, it's totally fine. But if you notice, I'm combing the hair kind of the direction of how it grows, right? Or how, in this case, how it's stitched. So I'm making sure that I'm combing with a purpose, all right? I'm combing with a purpose, and I'm trying to comb the hair into the way it naturally grows. That's very, 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 very important, all right? To comb the hair of how it's naturally laying and how it's naturally growing. So in the back here, as you can see, you know, we've got the hair nicely positioned to where it's laying nice and flat. So here we go. We're going to comb this straight out. There's our guide, and we're going to cut straight up. So now we're following the head shape. Okay, we're following the head shape, and we're simply just cutting straight up. All right? And we're going to round this all out to make sure that everything ends up being balanced. But what I'm doing is I'm looking for my guide. So the guide is basically the hair from the previous section. All right? And remember, this is the most important part because now we're working around the head shape, and this is really what matters. Okay? Next, we're going to work into blending the back into the top. This is where we're going to start kind of rounding things and following the pattern of the hair growth, which is straight out from the head. Now, going shorter in through this area sometimes works out a little bit better, especially if you have a cowlick or a swirl, because you want to make sure this is not going to be super long where it's sticking straight up all the time. You want to make sure that you're going from shorter into longer because that is always going to help with the shape of the haircut. All right, so now we're going towards the top. Okay, we're in the top back of the head area, and as you can see, I'm literally just working my way forward. All right, I'm working my way forward to where we're getting to this point in through here. So now I can push all this hair out of the way, like so. I can push this hair out of the way like so, and we can work now towards the top where we're going to actually be able to cut some of that length. So let's get a little bit closer in through here so you all can see. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to comb the hair straight across, horizontally. Now I'm going to comb it straight up. And there is my guide from the back. Remember, this is what you blended from here into this one part and through here. This is pretty much foolproof if you follow this pattern cutting the entire rest of the haircut. We're going to cut what I like to call our mohawk section. So we're going to comb the hair straight up from the head like this, and we're going to stay within this parameter. You've got the top, the corners, and the sides. Top, the corners, and the sides. Right now, we're working just on the top, all right? And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you cut a section to where you can see the previous section, which is what we call your guide. If it's too thick, you feel like you have too much hair, you skipped over it, go back and recut it, because you want to make sure that you are being very, very, very consistent, and you want to be even Steven, okay? Coming all the way through. As we get towards the top, right, or the front, I should say, what's going to happen is the hair, right, we're gonna start to run out of hair. And the hair, what I always like to do is leave it just slightly longer in the very, very front. So what I'm doing now is I'm combing the hair straight up, all right? I'm combing it straight up, which is gonna leave a little bit of length, all right? You wanna leave a little bit of length right throughout that front area because you could always go back in and cut that shorter if need be, and you're going to have to anyway because all this is gonna fall down. Now, let's work into the corners. Again, the top, the corners where the head rounds, and the sides. The sides we pretty much did with our clippers, but here's how we do the corners. It's almost like the same thing. Now, here we're going to comb the hair straight out from where it grows on the corner of the head, and we're gonna continue to do that all the way to the front. And you're gonna start to see, wait a minute, all this is blending itself almost into this, okay? Now you're gonna see how all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together and why we did what we did. So here's a very, very corner in the front, and now all you're left with is this one little area in the sides to blend, okay? You can do, some of it by hand like this. It's gonna be pretty short, but it's gonna help, it's really gonna help get the ball rolling as far as blending. But all we're doing now is just simply connecting the dots. And look what we've done. We've created a fully blended haircut from here into here. Now what I suggest doing, and this is a must do for all of these haircuts, is you comb the hair all straight down. All right, comb the hair straight down, and what you're going to do is now you're going to do scissor over comb on this entire side of the head, and you're going to look for areas that are sticking out from the head that are a bit longer, possibly, than everything else. So there's a couple of pieces right there. And this is called scissor over comb, and this is refining the haircut. Now you're gonna see a lot of hair in through here. That's fine, and just hold the comb straight out from the head and work your way up this way. And as you can see, I lift and I turn towards me. And what that's doing, it's showing me the areas that, or the areas of hair that need to be cut. It's that simple, all right? It's that, and that's what I love about haircutting and following a simple procedure like this, is that now we've got all this fully blended, and the haircut basically, it spoke to us. It said, hey, make sure you cut me. All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing on this side. If you notice, I haven't moved my body position. I'm still here, so you're gonna be standing, it's gonna feel like you're on top of the client, and it depends if they're paying extra for that. No, you're gonna be standing right here in front of them, and you're simply now just combing and cutting upwards to follow the roundness of the head, okay? Just like we did before. Here we go, here's this corner right into here. So now we're gonna comb down this way, and we've got the sides, which we just talked about, and this ends up becoming a bit more square right in through this area, which is totally fine. So as you can see, the hair is, everything is gonna be very, very obvious, right? It's gonna stand out to you if it needs to be cut, if it needs to be blended, and that's why following a pattern like this is really important with men's hair cutting or even short haircuts. This could be a woman's haircut, it doesn't really matter. A human being haircut, right? Like any human can wear this haircut. So if you like really, really short hair, then this is great. This applies to everybody. So as you can see now, I'm working the same way as I did on the other side, okay, which is I'm looking for pieces that are longer and that need to be blended, that need to be cut, and this is really what's refining the entire haircut. This is what people are paying for, okay? And yes, if you need to be in a salon or a barber shop or whatever, that you have to get them in and out in 15, 20 minutes, well, I'm sure if you weren't talking like I am, you could possibly do it, but the difference is this, this is when you're getting a good quality haircut, when somebody isn't spending 15 minutes on your hair. Now, there are amazing, talented professionals out there that can cut hair super, super quickly. They can get the job done in and out, but you may feel a bit rushed, to be honest with you. Do you want to feel rushed? I don't know, I don't. So, all right, now here we go. Here we are in the very, very front. As I mentioned, you're gonna have all this weird kind of hair. So what you wanna do is you wanna bring this down and you're gonna cut this to the bottom length right through here. You do not wanna cut this super, super short, okay? Because the hair will spring up. This has to have enough room to go back up. That's why we're gonna comb this all straight down and we're gonna cut it to where we see the shortest point underneath all the hair, okay, which is about right here. So what that's done, it's allowed us to have a little bit of length. So now when we go back like this, oh, okay, good, we have some length right through here that we can work with. So next what we do is let's bring the hair forward this way, and what we're gonna do is comb this now all straight up, and there we go. There's all that excess weight we can now cut off that stands between, or that lives between the top of the head and the very, 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 very front. So you could see, you know, you may think, oh, it's a men's haircut. Oh, it's a short haircut. It's easy. Not really. I mean, this is why you can eventually charge a higher price for your haircuts, or you can give, you know, your family, your friends the best haircuts they ever had because you're watching a professional tutorial. But, you know, like I mentioned before, you know, I'm hoping that a lot of people get value from this. Doesn't matter, you know, what level you're at, what you're doing, this is gonna be helpful. And obviously, if you're doing this in your sleep all day, you do these types of haircuts on a regular basis, then, you know, maybe you got a few laughs out of this whole thing. But for the most part, if there's one piece of information that you can find helpful from this, then it's gonna mean a lot to me. And I always appreciate you know, when people leave comments. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going back and I'm double checking, I'm refining everything. And this is what you need to do, is just go back and comb the hair, right? And you can see the hair is dried. I have not gone in and re-wet the hair because I like to cut hair going wet into dry, okay? I go wet into dry because what that does is it allows me to see exactly what the hair is doing, okay? And if it's too wet, you're gonna miss out on what the hair should be doing when it's styled. So now you can see I'm going in the very, 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 very front. And remember, sometimes hair grows out from the head, not always straight up. Sometimes it grows out this way. So what I'm doing now is I'm overextending this, and I'm seeing a bunch of hair that needs to be, you know, trimmed because it's really, really heavy here. So I'm bringing all this forward like this, and I'm looking for those, you know, areas that are just like super, super heavy still, and maybe a bit too long within this area. All right, we still have that bottom length, but now look what happened. Look how we've created a much easier way to style this. All right, next is it's time to refine. Now you can use trimmers, you know, if you want, little trimmers, or you can use the clipper once again, and you're just gonna like refine the edges, right? You go around the ear, just get all these little hairs that need to be cut. Just be careful not to cut yourself, not to cut the person, and then the back, you're just gonna go, you know, pretty much straight across on the hairline down to here to create a nice, even neckline. And with the neckline, again, you know, necklines are a whole different thing, but depending on the individual, how they want their neckline, I don't ask them if they want a rounded square. I just do what I think is gonna look best. Some people want a hairline that is like blended into the skin, which that's like a whole other level of like, you know, of hair cutting. I do it, right? I do it, I've done it very often. But now you're getting into like where you're doing like a zero guard, or I mean like a zero, right? There's no guards whatsoever on it. So, you know, it could be a little bit nerve-wracking to some people, but for the most part, you know, you should be good. Just do it as simple as you possibly can, and you're following around the ear to get all these little hairs, all right, which drive everyone crazy. Just don't go super, super high. All right, and there we go. Sometimes they're a little bit stubborn. Cool. All right, next is the styling. And before we do that, what I like to do, once again, like I mentioned, is I'll go in and I will look for areas in the haircut that need to be blended a bit better. All right, and sometimes the lighting will show it off. Again, mannequin heads are a little bit trickier because of the stitching. Sometimes no matter what you do, there's always going to be areas where it looks like it's not blended in. But I always do this to finish off the haircut to make sure everything is blended, and look from different angles, right? Look from different angles on the haircut. Look and see if the hair is looking good from from the right side of the head, from the left side, from the back, the front, the side, everything. Just go in and different lighting. And this is what really separates a good haircut from like an amazing haircut, right? Just remember what you did last time, because next time when the person comes back in, they're going to expect the same darn thing. Once you give good haircuts, you can't skimp out on it. Everyone's going to expect. That's why you can't be charging $15 for a haircut like this. You can't be charging, and that's why I was, right? $150, $200, whatever. Like, I charged what I did because of the amount of time and effort I put into it. And everyone has a preference. I've had people that have come to me because they're sick of going to a place and getting a hack job, and the person spent 20 minutes and destroyed their hair. Like, I would book an hour for each appointment, and sometimes it'd be even longer. So, I know people are like in shock. Oh my God, that's crazy. Well, sorry, All right. Now it comes down to styling. I'm gonna use my Tidal Wave as a base spray just to give a little bit of texture to the hair. All right. So again, we're going for kind of like a nice spiked, modern textured look. Tidal Wave on its own works great, but even with the hair wet, look how amazing this looks, even with the hair wet, right? And you're gonna see this all come together when I dry it. And when I dry it, I'm gonna show you the best way to do it. Now, this is also my hair dryer as well. I do sell this at my website. The great thing about this is it's great for travel. You can flip it around like this. This is the updated version we made with magnetic attachments. So it comes with this diffuser. It comes with the nozzle and a diffuser for curly or wavy hair. So let's go. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna blow dry the hair down like this on the sides and the back. I'm blow drying it down. Actually, let's lower the power a little bit so you can hear me. I'm blow drying the hair down this way. I want this to all lay flat on the sides. I want this to, look as nice as possible, working down the way the hair grows. When you blow dry it, anytime you go against the grain of the hair, that's when it's gonna stick up and flip out and do all sorts of crazy things. So I like to blow dry the hair in the way that the hair grows, all right, and the way that I want the style to be. Now in the very, very front, I'm just literally going in like this and lifting, right? I'm going forward and I'm lifting like this, and that Tidal Wave, I'm telling you, really gives an incredible amount of texture. And believe it or not, you may only need this, right? You may only need the Tidal Wave, but the styling products really come down to what you want. But I am so blown away by how much texture Tidal Wave gives the hair. And it has been reformulated. We did a really, really great job with reformulating it, put a lot of work and effort into it. And yeah, I'm very happy with how it came out. So, here we go. The haircut speaks for itself. The style speaks for itself. I'm just gonna get a little bit closer here so you all could see this nice haircut. Now, again, I'm just gonna leave this kind of as is. I'm not gonna put any extra product in it because I love the way how it just looks on its own. All right, so you can go in easily and mess with it, but let's break this down this way. So look at the sides, how this all blends and tapers beautifully, right? If you want some added texture and volume, then all you gotta do is just go in with your hands and simply just mess it up with your hand. The more you mess it up like this, the better. You don't ever want it, and I see a lot of guys doing this, they just go like this. Oh yeah, I like it, I like it. You just completely destroyed all that texture I put in there, okay? completely destroyed it. So now, once again, the back, you can see how this all nicely blends into the top here. And again, I apologize for some of the way the hair is stitched. You know, it's not gonna look perfect, but we did our best to try to get this to blend in. But this is what's the most important is in through here, the shape, right? The shape of the haircut. I cut this to where I know the hair is gonna grow out beautifully, right? We're gonna have a lot of success as the hair grows out. You can get a ton of volume in through here. You know, you really can be fairly flexible. But this is a very, very modern style, all right? A very modern style, very sophisticated. It's a great look for 2022. I know it's a bit of a classic look, but if you can achieve this haircut, then, you know, you really can do a lot. Like, you'll be so much more confident when it comes to cutting hair. And I know we spent a lot. This was literally all one take, okay? I'm known as the one take king. I do everything in one take, and there's no editing, nothing whatsoever. This is it, one take, and I really hope that you guys appreciate it. Now, here's a special treat for all of you. If you're a professional, non-professional, you need my tools. If you go to shop.thesalonguy.com and use code YouTube20, that's YouTube20, okay, you get 20% off, and it's free shipping in the United States on orders with a value of over $50 after the discount code has been applied. So after discount, if it brings it under 50, you don't get the free shipping. But if you're getting the blow dryer, if you're getting my scissors, the brushes, any products, it's all gonna be way over $50, and you're gonna get all those benefits. And trust me, I see it. The 20% adds up, okay? And I see these orders and I'm going, oh my God, this person saved like $70 on a discount. But you know what? You know, I know I'm bringing some value to you. I'm also offering this. I was gonna charge people to, you know, to learn this, but I figured you're all here anyway. So here it is for free, right? Here it is for free. And let me know in the comments below, please, if you enjoyed this, if you do a haircut like this, send me a picture on, you know, Instagram. Let me know if you're a professional and this has helped you feel more confident cutting men's hair, if you're someone at home doing this. I'd love to know. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.